Welcome back, students. We had discussed the do's and don'ts that need to be kept in mind when writing the business plan. As the second part, we are going to talk about other important things to remember, and then we'll be talking about the appendix and all the documents which are included in the appendix, which is an important part of the business plan, although it comes in the end of the business plan. So the other important things to remember, you should write a plan in the third person. You should not ever use I, we, us, own, our. Meaning to say that we are going to build a factory, we are going to achieve a target of 1 crore, we will be doing research. No, we cannot say we. Instead of we will be doing the research, we say the research will be undertaken or the factory will be set up. I am going to talk to these people for partnerships. Instead of that, we say talks will be initiated with these people to forge partnerships. So write your plan in the third person. Instead of I and we, us, etc. Instead, you write the business will do things, or the owners intend to forge partnerships with Ratan Tata or ABC company or the company or the store will be able to achieve an annual turnover or an annual sales of 1 crore, something like that. Now, avoid words like wishing and hoping. Wishing and hoping, they do not belong to a business plan. And instead of words like think, you use the word no. And in place of a word like if, you write when. In case of a word like hope, you say will. So there are certain words which should not be used in a business plan report. And the choice of words is something that you must consider before using them in your business plan. Other than that, there's a piece of wisdom here. Take breaks in between. Review what you've written and edit and refine it before moving on. And there's a piece of wisdom. You can't be working continuously because number one, your efficiency goes down. Number two, you lack focus. You lose focus. So it is advisable that every now and then take breaks in between, sit back, relax, let the thoughts in your mind, let it consolidate. And you come back to the drawing board with a fresh mind and then look at what you've written. And then you will be able to see, if there are some mistakes, or you'll be able to see that the style in which you have been writing, you would want to, change it a little, or you'd like to edit it and you'd like to refine it before moving on. So taking breaks in between is very, very, very important. My personal favorite is please take a break of at least 15 minutes, go for a walk. The moment you start walking, you start having fresh thoughts and your mental capacity again, uh, your the mental cells, they get recharged. So every time you feel like you're stuck in a rigmarole, go for a 15-minute walk, come back, and then sit, and then you'll be able to see all those problems in your, or anything that you feel that no, this looks a little low key, or is not sounding very impressive. So to if you want to refine something, pull yourself away from it, take a small break, come back, and then look at what you are doing. Another one, get someone else to proofread the section for you. It is a fact. If you have been working on the business plan for 50, 60, 70 days, there are a lot of mistakes which you will not be able to see. You lose the capacity to see those mistakes. So when you ask a new person, a person who has never seen that business plan, you ask that person, it could be a friend, ask that person to proofread it for you. And within minutes, the person will start showing you so many mistakes. It is a psychological activity that happens with everyone. That you read the document so many times, 50, 60 times, that those obvious mistakes, we become, oblivious to those mistakes. So show it to a person with a fresh eye, and boom, the person will be able to show you so many mistakes. There's a problem with the date, or with the time, or with there's a spelling error in the name or something like that. Many things which we are not able to detect because we've gone through it so many times. And then there are some minor things like, save files to your computer and then save it also to your pen drive. Save often, because save is your best friend. You can also periodically send the work done. You can send it, you can mail it to yourself, which is again something which is going to protect your data just in case your laptop crashes or something goes wrong with the storage space. Don't make sweeping generalizations or using Chinese mathematics. Chinese mathematics is when you say that the total population of India is 1.35 billion people, and if we are able to sell it to even 1% of the India's population, we are looking at 132 million people. It does not happen like that. That's one. A sweeping generalization. Obviously, everyone is using smartphones. Everyone has an account in Facebook. These are sweeping generalizations. You cannot say that. There has to be data to back it up. Everyone is using, everyone is doing this, or everyone is having this problem. These are sweeping generalizations. Do not ever use such words. If at all, suppose you say that a majority of our customers are using cell phones, and they are using internet, and they have a social media account, and they use it for at least 1 hour every week on an average. You have to have those facts, and that those facts have to come from those research reports by reputed organizations. So if at all you're making a statement, then support it with the facts. And when you're talking about the demographics, psychographics, and things like that, people's, they are being upwardly mobile. There are micro families, and there are double income groups. Both husband and wife are working and things like that. So if you are talking about these things, please also give the source of information, uh, either in the appendix or on the same page as a footnote. So yeah, include a copy of the source in the appendix or the footnote. And you can do something like add a note like see appendix 3A in brackets near the statement. So if you say that there are more than 10 lakh people with average annual household income of more than 1 crore. So if you write that, so in brackets, you can write C appendix 3A. And the person knows that you go to appendix, go to 3A, and then you can see from where this data has been taken. Now, pages must be numbered, and there should be your company name should be on each page. This is something which you cannot omit. Review the various sections frequently, because when you review them frequently, you will be able to find some flaws in terms of grammar, in terms of flow, in terms of certain elements missing, or there are some repeats. There are so many typo mistakes that can happen, when you are working on Microsoft Word or on any document in the computer. A lot of people, what they do, they actually take a printout and then they do the proofreading. Whenever you take a printout, your capacity to detect mistakes is far higher than when you are proofreading and looking for mistakes on the screen. So yeah, and review the various sections frequently. Present it to your advisory board and request feedback. Advisory board are your senior people who are from the trade, who are experts, who have certain level of authority in the business. Those are the people who you would want in your advisory board. So if at all you are ready with the business report, please show it to the advisory board and the feedback, because that is the job of the advisory board, to advise you. And of course, before you give it to them, spell check it. Spell check is a feature that you have in MS Word. You should definitely use it so that it takes care of at least 90% of the grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, and things like that. And ultimately print it on high quality paper and bind it in a quality cover to be mailed to or to be presented to various investors. So with that, we come to the end of the section in which we talked about the do's and don'ts, the things to be done essentially, and those things which are to be avoided at all costs when you are preparing the business plan report. Now we are going to talk about the appendix and related documents. The appendix is something everyone has had this experience. You have seen books, you have seen reports, you never go to the appendix. Rarely people do. But then you cannot have a business plan report, or you cannot have any report or any research journal paper without an appendix. An appendix has to be there. So what is an appendix? Of course, we have an inkling. We know we have a fair idea about what is an appendix. But we're going to talk about the appendix, the formal definition, and then we are also going to look at the various documents which should be included in this. When you are, even if no one goes through your appendix, trust me, the when you include all the relevant documents in the appendix, it makes your business plan very, very robust. And when people who are experts, let's say finance experts or product experts, or people who are in the marketing, who are marketing experts, when they start grilling you, that is a time when the appendix is going to come and help you. Appendix helps you. So that's the importance of appendix. And when we go through this last part of the this session, you will have a very clear understanding that why appendix is so important. Okay, appendix, it includes all the supporting documents that will substantiate, clarify, and help your readers visualize the key points. All the Excel charts, all the in-depth detail, all the reports, key elements, key parts, they will be added to your appendix. These documents are crucial, but they're included in the last section. Why? Because they interrupt the natural flow of the narrative. So if you started having all the Excel sheets in between, let's say the marketing plan, it is going to interrupt the natural flow of the narrative, your story that you are saying to your business plan. So that is why all those things which are supplementary, which are not extras, which are supplementary, and which can be, which are interrupting the natural flow, those should be included in the appendix in the last. Yeah. And emphasize the best accomplishments and most notable achievements of your management team in this section of your business plan. So in the main part of the business plan, you talk about the accomplishment and achievement of your management team, but in the appendix, you will have the copy of all those letters and awards and all the other things. So if someone has got certain award, you can't have the copy of the award in the middle of the business plan. It will be added to the appendix. So you can place a reference to the inclusion of the resumes. Resumes will not be in the middle of the business plan. And so, for example, you say that see appendix page 20 for management team resumes. So you're talking about your management team. You are talking about each of them in 2 to 3 lines. But if someone wants to know more about them, and if the investors want to actually go through their resumes, they are there, present in the business plan in the appendix. Okay, the way the business plan will stand on its, this way, the business plan will stand on its own merits. The reader can decide for themselves whether to keep reading the business plan, stop reading the plan, go to the appendix, or read the entire appendix or parts of it when he or she is done reading the plan. So you will see, I mean, there are various behavior exhibited by readers, by the investors. And that behavior is that some people, when they are reading the business plan, they come across a piece of information and it says that the detailed information is there in the appendix. So some people would not bother to go to the appendix. They will continue reading the business plan uninterrupted because they don't want a disturbance in between. Some people will stop reading the plan temporarily. They will go to the pertinent page in the appendix read it, and then go back to where they were in the business plan before going to the appendix. Some people will read the entire appendix, or they'll read some parts of it, which they are able to decipher, and they'll do this after they have read the entire business plan. So some people would not read they'll read the business plan, they'll not read the appendix. They will read the business plan and they'll read the entire appendix. Some people will read the business plan, and in between, if they come across any such references, they'll go to the appendix, read it, come back, again continue with the business plan. So these are the possible types of behavior which has been seen to be exhibited by the readers or the investors. Now, if you have all these things, your business plan will stand on its own, meaning to say that there'll be times when you are actually sending the business plan document to the investors, you are not present there, and therefore the business plan has to be made in such a manner that the business plan stands on its own. So all the common questions that may come in the minds of the investors, all of them, most of them should be answered in your business plan, which includes the appendix. Now, what are the supporting documents? There are a lot of supporting documents, and what I've done for the sake of brevity and for the sake of easy understanding, I have segregated all the documents as per various, let's say, domains. So the domains I've taken 8 domains. One is research, second is infrastructure, third is legal, fourth is HR, human resource, fifth is finance, and then business related issues, and then marketing, and then letters. So we're going to talk about them one by one. So in case of research, all the charts, graphs, or tables should be there in the appendix in the research section. Then the information about your competitors, very important. Detailed information in this section. References to these, who are your competitors, what are their background, their strengths, weakness, etc. They'll be there in the main part of the business plan, but the elaborate details will be there in the competitor information in the research section of appendix. And then, of course, in this section, you should include the market surveys, if you've done market surveys, any of the marketing reports and studies that you have gathered through the internet or through various journals or trade magazines, etc. And then, of course, all the primary and secondary research that you do in terms of consumer behavior, market potential, and so many other things. And if you talk about infrastructure, then list of equipments and key assets. You can't include such a long list in the main part of the business plan. So therefore, it is included in the appendix. And then the designs or the property layout material, what does the property look like? What is the shape and size and whether, and you can also show the aesthetics and other things. So designs or artwork or facility plans. If you want to open a restaurant, what is it going to look like? So you can show the plan of the restaurant, and then also a 3D vision of the restaurant, how is it going to look. All those things would be there can be included in the appendix. And if you have any property and equipment leases or rental agreements, property is on lease or on rent, or equipment is on lease or rent, if you have any such agreements already in place, then you can include this in your in the appendix. Or if you have made a draft agreement or a draft lease, but uh, uh, you haven't had any talks with the property owner or the equipment owner. So either the draft, which people can see that, okay, this is the agreement that you will be making with various parties. And then the legal one, very important, incorporation of business registration papers. If you are making a pitch, your company definitely should be incorporated. It could be a sole proprietorship or a partnership or a limited liability partnership or a public limited company. So the incorporation papers that you get from Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So the legal documents should be there, the copies of that. And then, of course, the insurance policies, if you have taken for yourself or for the assets or for the raw material. And then the building permit and equipment lease documentation. In case you have already rented the building, and you have so you take the building, you have to have a building permit in order to undertake a particular activity in that building. So there's a building permit that will come from the municipality department. And then, of course, equipment lease documentation in case you have the equipments. If you have leased it, then the documents that has to be in this in the legal section. It can also be in the infrastructure section when you're talking about equipment. And then all the licenses, permits, trademarks, and patents. All of these should be, if you have those, you should include that in the, especially the patents. If you have them, you should include it in the appendix. And then when we are talking about HR, the resumes of each of your executive team members, partners, CEOs, and etc., etc. So, and the key employees and the partners, their resumes should be included in the appendix. Contact information of your professional staff, including who's your accountant, who's your attorney or the lawyer, advisors, etc. Their contact information should be in this HR. People, you can um, you can hire lawyers and accountants, but in case of advisors, um, they are hard to get. So if they are there with you and they'll be paid by you, then you should definitely have their information, contact details in the HR section of appendix. And then the list of business affiliates, such as an accountant and attorney, all those people who are your business associates, the list of them and their details should be included in the HR section of appendix. And then if you have any employment agreement, as in suppose you have done an employment agreement with the CEO, that this person is going to be our CEO, this is the employment agreement, and this person is going to join us, uh, has already joined us, or is going to join us in 1 month or 2 months time when we are ready to roll out, when we are setting up the factory or maybe setting up the retail store or whatever. So if there are any employment agreements that you have made, you can include this in your HR section of appendix. And then we come to finance, important part, because everything is dependent on finance. So financial statements, all the three financial statements should be there, including the cash flow projection and the sales forecast. Cash flow is something which everyone is interested in, and the sales forecast, because based on this only, you will be able to figure out as to whether the business is going to make money or not. And then in case the company is, let's say, 1 or 2 years old, and now you are pitching for the funds, then for the 2 years that have gone by, you have to include the income tax, the returns that you file. So the income tax returns for the business as well as for the people who are running the business, as in the people who own the business, the partners. So their individual tax returns and the business tax returns, the copies should be included in the finance. Credit histories for both the business and its owners. So credit histories, how many, um, you know, uh, how many times have you borrowed and when have you settled it? Uh, the credit history can be given by your associates as well as your banks. And then, of course, personal statement of net worth, as in if there are three partners to a business and I'm one of them, then my personal statement of net worth, what is my net worth? That should be included. So the net worth of all these three partners should be included in the finance section of the appendix. And because there are three partners, so there will be a partnership agreement, if at all. And so there are partners, all of them would have shares also. So therefore, they will have shareholder certificates. So these documents should be part of finance. And then if there are any mortgages or lease contracts, so if any of the partners have mortgaged any of their assets against which you have borrowed money from the banks, then that mortgage contract that comes from the bank, that has to be included in the finance section of appendix. And business related issues like contracts for current or future work. If you have got orders, small orders or big orders, there are orders which are currently running with you, or if there are orders for the future that after 2 months we are going to start on this particular order and we are going to make it and give it to our customers. So whatever purchase orders currently you have and whatever orders you have, but you are going to start producing it in future, those copies should be definitely here, which is a proof that people are giving you business. They're giving you orders. And any agreement that you have with your clients, if a client says that, on an annual basis, every month I'm going to buy these many pieces of this product. If there is an agreement, like you have an agreement with Indian Railways or with some other vendors, please definitely include those agreements. That is a proof that you have a stable business with you. And then any of the letter of intent is you intend to do certain things. So if there are any letter of intent that you have entered into any kind of agreement with people. So if you are intending to do some kind of a project with the government, so the government asks you to give the letter of intent. I want to do this particular project with you. So I give an LOI to the client. If you have done this with various clients, then include a copy of these letters of intent. And if there are any pending contracts, any orders which are currently going on and you have to complete it, then those contracts can also be included in this section. And when we talk about marketing, marketing is again something which is very important here. Photos of your products or the prototypes and packaging samples or brochures. These should be here in the marketing section of appendices. Someone who goes through these things can see how creative advertisements you have, or what does your product look like? What does it look like when it is, in the packed state? So those things should be there. And if there are any press clippings, feature articles, or industry related news, relevant news, that should be included here. Then samples of marketing material, logos, mock-up ads. Suppose you haven't started advertising, but how will you advertise? You have created some advertisements. So those mock-up ads should be there. The logo that you have, let's say, designed for your product or service, and all the all the materials that you'll use for marketing, on TV or on newspapers or as a template or social media. So those things should be included in the marketing section. When you include these things, and when people feel that the product looks great and the advertising is also very nice, very interesting, and then the logo is very, very innovative. These So what is happening is that you are building a great case for your own self through these small things. If the logo is if everything looks great, but then the logo is very, no one love, none of the investors like the logo, or they feel like, "Kaisa logo? What logo has been made?" So one small thing is going to, add one irritant, and the person may think of not investing in your company. So all these things matter a lot, even though they are a very small part. The logo is a small part. Advertisements that you create, these are small parts, but then they make a lot of difference. And then the various letters that we have, letter of appreciation from customers, very important, especially if a customer is someone like a Deepika Padukone or a Ratan Tata or someone like Amit Shah. So if they give you a letter of appreciation, it is a big deal. And then expert endorsements. In case you are doing medical t-shirts which repel COVID-19 virus, and let's say the president of the Indian Medical Association, he or she gives you this endorsement that the t-shirt that they made is brilliant and it is very effective, and I would definitely suggest, I would like to congratulate them for building this great product in terms of a medical t-shirt. So that expert endorsement is going to be great, is going to look great in your business plan. And any of the reference letters that you get from your business associates and community leaders, um, your business associates, if they give you a reference letter, someone who has been buying from you and has had no problem and is writing that, we have been buying from Mr. ABC and we have had a great experience, great deliveries, great quality, etc., etc. So if Tata Chemicals or Tata Motors give you, a reference letter in which a couple of positive things have been written about you, it makes for a great case. And then if community leaders like Baba Ramdev or someone like Kailash Satyarthi, who's a Nobel Prize Nobel Peace Prize winner, if they give you some reference letters, I mean, you cannot imagine what great advantage what great advantage would accrue to you because you have these letters in your appendix. And now we come to the last part of this session, which is business plan appendix, the best practices. Other than all those documents that we talked about, some of the best practices is if your appendix is elaborate, add a separate table of contents. If in the appendix you just have 5 pages, then you may not add a table of contents. But if it is elaborate, please definitely add a separate table of contents so people can refer to the table of content and then go to that particular page in which the relevant the information that they're looking for, they can simply look in the table of content and then go to that page. If you're sharing confidential information, please include the confidentiality statement. Not that people are really bothered if they see the confidentiality statement, not that they are going to keep the mouth shut and not share your idea with someone else. So, but then if I read the confidentiality statement, I will have some, even if it is 5%, I will be scared a little that before I share it with anyone else, uh, this is going to come to my mind that the confidentiality statement is written there. It means I am not supposed to share the details of this business plan with anyone. So to an extent, it definitely stops me from sharing it with anyone. But it's not a foolproof measure, but you should include it. And generally, readers skip the appendix, just like you and me rarely go through the appendix. Generally, readers skip the appendix. It is important to ensure that a business plan can stand on its own. This is given, this is known to you and me. It's important to ensure that business plan can stand on its own. You may not be standing there to defend or to give answers. So most of the answers should be there in the business plan, which means appendix should contain the supplementary information, meaning to say that all the very important information and the directly related information should be part of your main part of the business plan. And anything which is an add-on, which is relevant but an add-on, that should be included in the appendix. Because most of the people, they don't go they won't go through the appendix. So anything which is very important cannot be put in the appendix. It has to be in the main part of the business plan report. So how do you decide this? So ask yourself, if the reader skipped this part of my plan, would they still understand my idea or my business model? So if that particular thing is not there, and if if it is not there, readers will not be able to understand plan or the idea. Then it means that that particular piece of information should be there in the main part of the business plan. If I don't include certain thing and still people can understand the business model or the idea, then you can include that in the appendix. And then we have KISS, keep it. There's a there is keep it simple, stupid. Instead of that, we have keep it short and simple. So don't try to include everything in the world. Only have those things which are relevant. So primary things are going to be in the main part of the business plan, and the supplementary things are going to be there in the appendix. So do not be tempted to include everything. Just keep the relevant information that will give your reader greater insight into your business or more detailed financial information that will supplement your financial plan. So with that, come to the end of the session. I hope it has been uh, a great learning, and I hope that now you are in a better position to create a more comprehensive and a robust business plan. And also, you are now in a position to make a great business plan presentation. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Thank you.